Great. Well, I think we are good to get started. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Michelle Bogard, and I serve as our Associate Vice Provost in Student Life. And I am excited to serve as your MC this evening. We have a panel of experts that have been at the university and will accompany your students on their journey throughout the next upcoming years. And so I wanted to start out with maybe just a little housekeeping. And if you have not attended a webinar before, maybe this is your first one, this is not the typical Zoom meeting. So we don't get to see your beautiful faces smiling at us. You get to see our mugshots or our faces. But if you do have questions, we encourage you to ask those. There's at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a Q&A button, and that's a place where you can submit questions and that we can provide feedback to you directly, or we'll ask some of those questions in a larger context for all of our panelists to answer as well as we're moving through our program. The chat feature, I don't believe is enabled for our friends to kind of chat along. So we encourage you to use that Q&A portion of the button so we can get all your questions that are burning answered to the best of our ability this evening. So without further ado, that's a little housekeeping. And let me just kind of get started by introducing myself. Again, I've worked in student life for the past 23, or I should say, this fall will be my 23rd move-in. I have a colleague who used to always measure her years on campus by how many move-ins did they participate in. So I'm very excited to be able to do that and to welcome you all with our bright and shining wonderful student leaders to be able to say, you've made a wonderful choice and we're excited to have you. The role that I play at the university is working with your students outside of the classroom through integrated wellness efforts. And so we want to make sure that we are accompanying your students in a variety of different ways. So over 22 years, I've been able to see your students transition in a lot of different ways. I've seen the university transition in a lot of different ways since 2001. So over the years, I've been able to host Welcome Week myself as an advisor, or help your students or previous students participate in our fraternity and sorority life recruitment. Your students abroad and checking in on them when they choose to have those adventures, to building the first Starbucks, and now we have 2 on campus. So we've seen a lot of transitions as not only our students live and learn, but we too as staff who have been with the university really embrace some of those transitions. And some of those are expected and some of those are not expected, right? When I started at Creighton, my very first fall semester, I was walking through the student center and helping our students meaning make what they saw on the TVs during 9/11. And so again, our role as a university and working with your students outside of the classroom is to accompany them through all those transitions, again, expected or unexpected. So as we look to August, we want to make sure that you know that there's a lot that is about to change. And while some of that might be anticipated, and some of you probably have to-do lists of all the things you need to do, and others, this is your 7th kid, your son in launching college, and you're really excited and you're a little more relaxed in this transition. We want to know that there is a lot in the world going on. We know that your family has a lot of transitions. So we want to just provide a framework tonight for us to talk about with you what transitions look like at Creighton specifically. So this evening, we're really going to talk to you all about that students are coming to Creighton and to college in general with a wide array of experiences and readiness for Creighton. And so our goal as an Ignatian university, as a Jesuit university, is to meet your student where they're at. And so we're trying to create that very personal experience, acknowledging who they are and how we can work with them. Know that you, parents, family members, guardians, you are vital to our relationship with our students and moving forward. You are key partners for us to make this transition as smooth and successful as possible. And then we also want you to know that we will always keep the student ahead of who we are in our relationship. We are an institution of Catholic Jesuit education. And so what guides us, our North Star, is we respect the dignity of all people. We truly believe that all of our students are gifts, and so we will accompany them and work with them as their years progress. And so talking about partnering with families, I want you to know what our relationship is with our students. And so for those of you who attended summer preview with us, either virtually or in person, had that opportunity, you probably heard me talk about something I heard on social media that talks about if we do our jobs well, our students, our children will not need us. Do our jobs well as parents, our kiddos will not need us. Now, we hope and pray that they're going to want to spend time with us as adults. But if we've done our job well, and my hypothesis is you have done your job well, they are not going to need you as much. And this is that time where you're going to continue to launch them. And so hopefully this summer, maybe you've taught them how to do their laundry. Maybe you've shown them and explained what a social security number is, or maybe how to make a doctor's appointment, right? Not talking to a chat bot and kind of filing an automated kind of online form, but actually picked up an old school phone to say, hey, I need to make a doctor's appointment, or I need to change the oil in my car. These are all the things that we're helping our students kind of test out those adulting skills. And so they're not going to get it right the first time or the second time or the third time, but this is where we partner with you all to help in those transitions for those other life skills that complement the in-person, in-class experience. And so again, we know that our students will want to have a relationship with you, but we want you to help us let them be the problem solvers. So when they have a conflict, when they have an issue, when they don't know how to get to office hours for a faculty member, and they call you, help them problem solve. Ask them questions, maybe play counselor ask them questions to try to solicit that information. That's where we're really, again, helping our students be successful. Now, you know your student. And so if your student is calling you and giving the call, right, where everything compiles and kind of builds on each other, and they are desperately seeking assistance, that's when we, of course, want you to reach out. We have people on duty 24 hours a day at the university. So we want to make sure that we will always accompany our students. The little things, the little life lessons that we're going to have to hurdle, those little bumps, those speed bumps in life, we want our students to start solutioning themselves. But when you feel like things have gone off the rails, right, and you know that your student is getting their information from a social media site that makes no logical sense, how do you get that correct information? Reach out to us to kind of course correct and get some accurate information to your student. But please also know that we are here to work with you and make sure that your student is successful. When I mentioned that we are open 24/7, if there is some reason that you need to get a hold of us in the middle of the night, we will always be able to be reachable. And the easiest way to do that is contacting with our public safety office. They are always open and they can always get someone to get connected to your student. And so for those of you who are like, ooh, I need that number, who need those pens out, it's 402-280-2104. So 402-280-2104. If you're always wondering what that emergency number is, we just changed the 4 digits at the end and we called 291. So again, if you needed some emergency assistance to reach out to your student in the middle of the night, again, maybe there is a passing of someone in your family and you need to get a hold of your student, that's when some emergency help can be of assistance. And so just know that we want to engage and continue to set up our students to be successful, empower them with those life skills of problem solving. And then again, how do we make sure that we can help them problem solve from the coaching sidelines? But again, when you know your student needs some additional assistance, please reach out and we can assist. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have lots of panelists this evening, and so I want to introduce you to one of my colleagues, Dr. Katie Kelsey. She's our Senior Director of Engagement and Belonging, to talk to you again about how we can continue to partner with you all as the year goes on.
Thank you, Dr. Bogard. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Dr. Katie Kelsey, and I serve as the Senior Director for Engagement and Belonging on campus, which means that I have the opportunity to work with staff members who work within our residential community or our residence halls, in addition to some staff that work with our out of the classroom experience through the Student Leadership and Involvement Center. But for the purposes of tonight, we're going to talk about residential life. This is my 12th year at Creighton as a staff member. I am a Bluejay through and through. I grew up with Creighton and had the privilege of going to Creighton for undergrad, in addition to completing my doctoral work at Creighton. So I bleed blue, if you will. So go Jays for all of you that are new to the Creighton family, or those of you that are returning. We're excited to have you be a part of our community. For tonight, though, as we think about residential life and living in our residence halls, for those of you that will have students or children living with us in our halls, there are a few key components to that experience that we want you to be aware of. The first is that our residence halls are really a space and a place where your student has the opportunity to live and grow. We want your student or your child to feel as if the place that they are living in is a home away from home. It is a place that they can be themselves authentically. It is a place that they can try new experiences and meet new people. It is an opportunity for them to really spread their wings and fly when it comes to thinking about that idea of who they want to be in their collegiate experience. And there's a lot of different ways that we're going to help them do that. The first of many is that they're going to have the opportunity to interact with a lot of different supports through the residence halls. So one of those supports is going to be through their resident advisor, who's going to be a junior or senior student who lives in the residence halls and provides some additional support and mentorship to your students as they live on our floors and in our buildings. They're going to provide programming, they're going to provide mentorship. If your student has a question about resources, the RA is going to be that first line of defense, if you want to think about it that way, to ask about the questions of college and to ask those ideas and bounce those ideas off of them as they navigate. What is it like to be a first year student, or what is it like to go to class in college, and what is it like to live in our residence halls? The RAs are going to be those people who your students can go to. Additionally, we have a professional staff member called a resident director who also supports each one of our residence halls, in addition to the residential life student staff in that building. The RD is going to be a staff member who is going to oversee the safety and security of the building, in addition to working with the resident advisors to provide that community building feel that we want each one of our residence halls to have. So they're going to help with the programming that helps build that social network that your student will have the opportunity to engage in. Additionally, we have different academic supports that are intentionally placed within our residence halls to have that academic component within each hall. So when we think about where they live and where they sleep and where they're being social, we also want to be mindful that students may be studying in those spaces as well. And so we wanted to provide some academic support through the help of our friends in student success who have tutors within our hall should they have questions about classes that they're taking or how to study. We also intentionally have built a front desk program where students have the opportunity that if they have questions or they get locked out of their residence hall or need to pick up a package or any of those kinds of things, they can visit our front desk if they have questions about how to engage in that way with us. The other thing that I wanted to touch on today is the idea that living in a residence hall is really an opportunity for our students to live independently and to develop those personal accountability habits that we hope young adults are able to develop in their time in college. So as Dr. Bogard mentioned, that idea of how do you do your laundry? What does that look like? How do you study on your own? How do you think about managing your budget with your dining dollars so that you're not blowing all your J-bucks at Starbucks and then are unsure about where to eat? How do you think about living in community with somebody else and thinking about how many times is too many times to hit your snooze, or when is it okay to put your alarm on or turn the coffee pot on in the morning, right? So we want our students to be able to engage in that independent living experience while also kind of creating that personal accountability for themselves as they become young adults. And then the last thing that we really want our students to focus on is this idea of what does it mean to live in community and have the expectations of living in community with someone else? So one of the first things that your student will have the opportunity to experience with their roommate is that they will fill out a roommate agreement with each other and with their RA to talk a little bit about what are some of those expectations of living in a room together, and what are some of those expectations as a floor or community when we talk about noise levels at night, and who are our night owls and who are our early birds, and how do we live in community together. So they're going to have the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that with their roommate in an intentional way, so that we can live in community together and in a cohesive manner. So living in the residence halls should be a really fun experience for our students. We are jazzed about the student staff that we have coming up this year, and we can't wait to have the opportunity to meet your students on our floors and in our halls.
Thanks so much, Dr. Kelsey. Again, my apologies for my tech issues earlier. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. And so we'd like to introduce Mr. Adam Stafford, our Director of Housing and Auxiliary Services.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Stafford. Like Dr. Kelsey, I am also a Creighton alum. It's very exciting to be back here. I just returned to the Omaha area earlier this winter. It's the best time to move to Omaha, really. You're doing it much better coming in August. So I'm really excited to help your children move into the residence hall like my dad helped me move in back in 1999. It's an exciting time. Really, it's one of the best times to work in housing, and we're really excited to welcome you all to campus. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about what you can expect as you arrive, so you can have some framework in terms of preparing. So the first thing I want to remind everybody, many folks have, but your student should be able to sign up for a move-in time slot on Friday, August 11th or Saturday, August 12th. August 12th. They should sign in for that move-in time slot so that you will know what time to arrive. As you can imagine, with approximately 1,000 first-year students moving onto campus in a day and a half, we do need to sort of measure that out so that it is a smooth process for you on your side of the experience. So make sure that your student is logged into their housing portal and sign up for a time slot that works for you, Friday or Saturday, and the time slots that are available for your residence hall. When we talk about what to bring, what not to bring, the first thing I want to say is please don't bring a U-Haul. These spaces are about 9 by 14 feet on average, about 85 square feet per person. So unless you have a very small car, hopefully a U-Haul, not necessary. We do furnish all of the units, so you won't need to bring a lot of furniture. We do have a website set up for housing and specifically FAQs that include what to bring to campus and what not to bring to campus. So hopefully your student has talked with roommate or roommates about TVs and other pieces that you might not want some redundancy for. We provide micro fridges, small fridges and microwave units, so no microwaves or fridges on your own. Bring your linens. Don't bring anything with a heating element, so no air fryers or toasters. Please no candles. For the sake of completion, I'll also throw in please no alcohol or any other contraband materials that your students shouldn't have. I know everybody's excited and they want to celebrate, but we would not want you moving that into the residence hall as well. I do want to mention, for those of you who it's a opportunity to do so, consider moving in seasonally. If your student has a chance to come home during fall break or winter break, think about what they're going to need in between visits home so that they don't have to try and pile everything into the room. If they have the opportunity to do those trade outs, when it's time for spring break, it'll probably be about time to take home the warmer winter clothes and get ready for the spring. And that might give your student an opportunity to really maximize their space. So if you're fortunate enough to be able to, if you're close enough or you have those trips scheduled, consider what you're going to need between August move-in and the October-November season. Now, talking about what to expect when you move in, depending on where, if this is your first child going to college or second, universities do a variety of different move-in experiences, some assisted, some unassisted. I can say that since I was a student, way back when to now, I think Creighton has hands down one of the best move-in experiences that really helps families just focus on what's important for the day. So as you will queue up in our staging area, you will be directed to the lane that you need to go to. Traffic is really closed down as the city supports our operations for the day, and routed through to where our Welcome Week leaders are going to meet you and do all of your car unloading for you. So that helps us. It helps us be able to keep a family member with the car. So keep that in mind. As your car's unloaded, somebody will stay there with the car while the student and any other family members might go up to the space to start unloading things. And then whatever family member will go and park their car. We will have some sort of shuttles on campus, or you can walk back to the residence hall your student is in. That I think takes a lot of the burden off of families right off the front. Getting it unloaded happens very quickly, and I don't know how much coffee those Welcome Week leaders drink in the morning, but it is truly a sight to behold. So you'll get your stuff up. I do want to warn you up front, it will be a warmer day. A, it's August, and B, just between all the exertion and the doors being open, it may seem like our air conditioners are running a little bit hot, but really it's just the nature of the building on that day. I promise you they will be in good working order, and once everybody's in and the thermostats start to kick in, it will cool down tremendously. So bring some water, maybe some lemonade, and keep cool that day, so that you again can really focus on what your students experiencing and all the events that we have scheduled for both of you. I do want to let you know that all of our furniture will need to stay in the room. So if you were planning on bringing your own Tempur-Pedic mattress to replace the ones that we provide, you are welcome to do that, but the mattress will have to stay there. Maybe it can go on the futon. But our furniture does need to stay in the room. We don't have the storage capacity to be able to let families opt in and out of the furniture that we provide. We will, over the next 2 weeks as we prepare for the residence hall move in, we will have staff walking every single room on campus to make sure that there are no issues by the time you arrive. If in between our checks, something comes up, if a faucet starts to leak in the bathroom, or if there's some issues like that, you can report those to the residence life staff that Dr. Kelsey mentioned, or bring that information down to the front desks. They'll be happy to put in a work order ticket with our facilities maintenance staff. Facility maintenance and the operations management team, they will be on campus all weekend long to make sure that if there's any issues that need to be addressed over that opening weekend, they'll be able to do that. Then as we move into the start of the semester, I do want to make you aware of one more thing. We do have an assignments freeze the first 2 weeks of class. We need to get everybody in. Our priority is to make sure everybody has a place to lay their head at the end of their first day on campus and can focus on their study and integrating into the academic environment. So while we're doing that, we put a freeze on all of our assignments so that we can make sure that we know what spaces we have, and if somebody needs to come and join us late, if somebody's plans don't work out, we have that opportunity to move somebody in right away. After those 2 weeks, the exception to that would be true of, emergencies, and we have staff who are ready to deal with that. If there's some disagreements, we would ask that you take advantage of that. The resident advisor and the resident director staff who are trained in conflict mediation and oftentimes can work towards a resolution that will be better than moving in the first place. But after those 2 weeks, if there are issues or if there's opportunities for students to move, we explore that on a case-by-case basis. But just wanted to let everybody know, as you get in, we really try to hold those assignments in place to be as responsive as possible to any issues that come up.
Thank you, Adam. We always know that families have lots of questions about the logistics of move-in and what can and cannot be brought. I know there's a question in the chat about, can tea kettles be brought into the room? Is that something that would be allowed?
That's a great question. Usually anything with an exposed heating element. So if it's fully enclosed, that's okay. But if it comes with one that opens up and pieces could get in, whether it's paper or curtains or anything that's exposed, we would say no. But fully enclosed water heating would be okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. We'd like to now introduce Mr. Paul Ralstad, who serves as our Assistant Vice Provost for Housing and Auxiliary Services. Thanks, Paul.
Good evening, everyone. I am glad to be here with you and talk to you a little bit about our dining program here. I work with housing and all the a variety of the different auxiliary services that serve your students as they come to campus. I am a new J as well, been on Creighton's campus about 7 months, so I'm still learning and growing, and we'll be learning a lot of things right alongside with some of your students. So as we look at the dining, Sodexo dining here on our campus, I'm super excited about this year coming up. We have some new leadership in place that has brought a different kind of focus to the Sodexo dining program. And they're really looking to enhance the culinary quality of what Creighton is able to offer and the experience our students are going to receive. I've been on several other campuses in my professional career, and I already think Creighton has some of the best residence dining food of most college campuses that I've eaten on. So I'm excited to see what the Sodexo team is going to be bringing us this year. It's not going to be without some hurdles and some transitions that I'll talk about in a minute. The first thing is meal plans. Your students all should have the opportunity to select a meal plan and change a meal plan as we get into the semester. Meal plans are not fixed until the end of the first week. So students, if they pick a 10 meal, there's a 10 meal plan, a 14 meal plan, and an all access plan. Unlimited meals. If they think I'm only going to eat 10 meals a week and they get to campus and they love dining so much they want to go to the all access, they can make that adjustment through the first week. And that's done in the Nest, their online portal, where they're able to find that information and select a different plan. All of the plans cost the same. It just depends on how many dining dollars that they bring with them. The dining dollars can be used at all the different retail outlets throughout campus, the convenience store, Jack and Ned's, vending. We're working on getting more of the vending and food vending machines on campus also accessible to dining dollars. As we look at retail, we are in a really exciting time, but a time of transition. As many of you might know, our Scott Student Center is undergoing renovation on the lower level right now. That is really to renovate our food court called Wareham Court and make room for some really new and exciting space for our students to gather, as well as some new food concepts that are going to come in. You've probably already heard we will be welcoming Firehouse Subs and Qdoba Mexican to the campus this fall as our new national brand providers. And we will also be bringing Main Bowl back, which was our Asian cuisine that we had on campus. It was our top selling retail dining outlet down in Wareham Court. So all three of those are coming back in a new venue this fall. But in the meantime, the Jack and Ed's convenience store and Wareham Court will be offline through the fall semester. We are working on final details for actually set up a retail dining large tent out in one of our parking lots very close to Swanson Degelman Halls and St. John's Church. We have worked with Firehouse and Qdoba to actually come in this fall and operate sort of a remote location out of this tent. Firehouse should be open by the first day of classes as long as we get all our equipment in. We know we're going to be waiting on some Qdoba equipment until right at the start of September. But at the beginning of September, both of those retail outlets should be open with limited to-go menus and start to provide our students Qdoba and Firehouse options. Additionally, we've set up what we're calling Father Sully's in a small area right in front of Brandeis. We're going to keep that open for a lot of grab and go options, including Godfather's Pizza, our very popular Hiso Sushi, Simply to Go, which is a lot of wraps and salads, and other quick grab and go options will be available out of Father Sully's. The McGloin Market, which many of your students may have experienced when they stayed in McGloin, is going to be open with expanded food as well and a Godfather's Pizza in there. And we're working to offer to-go options in both Brandeis and Harper dining halls, where students will get a reusable to-go box to come in, fill their box, take it with them, and use that as a mobile dining option as well. So lots and lots of super exciting things. As I said, some of them we're going to be in a little bit of a transition state as we start the school year, but we expect that retail dining tent to be open through Thanksgiving. It's going to have walls and heat and all the things we'll need as we get a little bit cooler in the fall. And we're really excited about that. Sodexo Dining really focuses on nutrition, self-care, special dietary needs. Mindful is Sodexo's focus on providing healthy, nutritious foods. The Simple Serving Station provides allergen-free dining for a lot of our students out of Brandeis Hall. And we have a really amazing dietitian. Her name is Danielle Moran, that I will throw her contact information in the chat in a little bit. Danielle is available for any type of consultation, one-to-one meetings to talk about the different food allergies and tolerances. She will give tours of the dining hall. She will go through our vegan and vegetarian options, help with weight management, healthy lifestyle, anything and everything that your student may need a little extra assistance with or want somebody to talk to. Danielle is there for them. And they provide, she provides just amazing service to our students. So as I said, reach out, have your students set up an appointment, and they can learn more. The Sodexo app also provides a lot of really good information on food ingredients that our students can manage some on their own if they use that app and look at the ingredients and the food allergy labeling that is in place there. We really work hard to try to provide dynamic options and lots of different stuff. Of course, with any residential dining, there's going to be some repetition. You know, if your student complains that every day the Brandeis has pepperoni pizza, that is probably true. Every day, I'm guessing we're going to have pepperoni pizza, but we're also going to have a variety of other pizzas, and we're going to have a build your own pasta bar, and we're going to have so many other foods. Sodexo runs on kind of a 5-week rotating schedule. So they'll have dishes about every 5 weeks, but within that, they also try to change it up with different options and theme nights. This spring, just in March, you know, when I was here, there was, you know, a Mardi Gras night with themed decorations and King's cakes. Ash Wednesday was a great fish and chips night with pub style fish and chips. St. Patty's Day had corned beef Reubens, Irish beef stew. There was March Madness stuff. There was steak nights. For opening baseball weekend, you had all of the things you might get in a baseball stadium with soft pretzels and popcorn and roasted peanuts and anything and everything. So there are going to be lots of opportunities for variety, as well as sort of the standard staples that many of the students want to see. Lastly, I just wanted to mention Sodexo at times experiences some of the same challenges that other restaurants and food service providers are challenged. Sometimes staffing becomes an issue. Sometimes supply chain comes an issue. Occasionally, you may hear that their favorite station was closed, or maybe we had to close dining an hour early in one of our locations. These are going to be very much the exception to the rule. We're going to work really hard to be consistent in hours and stations and all of that, but sometimes things happen that are out of our control, and we're going to work really hard to correct that. There will always be food available. Your children will not starve, but wanted to let you know that we do face some struggles at times in this area as well. So if you have questions, there's people on campus. Myself, Danny Steiner is my staff member who works most closely. Feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to answer some of your specific questions.
Thanks, Paul. We appreciate that. We are going to take a turn and talk about where do our students seek support. We've talked about kind of those hierarchy needs, right? Some food, some shelter. But if you've been paying attention to the news in the last couple of years, we know that mental health is something that we all need to attend to. And so I would like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Peter, who serves as our Senior Director of Student Counseling. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Dr. Bogard. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to present to you today. I have been with Creighton going into my 6th academic year. I am not a Creighton grad, however, I did marry one, and I have a current Creighton student, so familiar with kind of all aspects of Creighton. So really what I want to talk to you today about is the transition to college from high school, and it really kind of give you some things to think about as you're preparing for these last couple weeks before your students head our way. So really being prepared for that change ahead. The transition is not one to be underestimated. I think sometimes, particularly our high achieving students, we may underestimate how tough this change might be for them sometimes. Many excel incredibly well and many struggle. Being away from home for the first time, having to live with somebody they don't know for the first time, having a lot of structure that they're very used to, kind of being left to themselves to figure out how to create. So really having some of those conversations ahead of time of letting them know that it's okay to struggle because it's very normal to struggle. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay, if things don't go perfectly well and you're not your roommate's best friend after the first couple of days, and all those things that that can happen that they don't necessarily expect and you don't necessarily think about as you're getting ready to send them away to school. One thing I am going to put in the chat for everybody, we created a document that really talks about how to think about some of the conversations to have. Ways to think about how they can take care of themselves, how they can make sure that they're getting enough sleep, that they're eating well, what could be some signs that they're struggling. Are they starting to isolate from friends a little bit or having a harder time going to class, kind of losing their motivation? So really having those conversations ahead of time can really prepare your student to, one, let them know that it's okay if they struggle, and two, to let them know that you're going to be there to support them. We found that a lot of times students get here and everyone is so excited for them and they are so afraid of disappointing everybody at home that maybe they're not being a stellar student, or they're not finding, their people right away, or they're not having the best time ever. So letting them know that all of that is normal and that you're there to support them. So the best thing I can recommend is have those conversations ahead of time. Just to let you know a little bit about what student counseling is, we are available for all of our full-time students. We work with all of our undergrad students and our grad professional students. So we're here for everybody. We do have lots of counselors, individual counseling. We have group counseling. We have a psychiatrist available on campus. So if, for students that are coming to campus, maybe with some mental health background that they've had some treatment for, we'd be happy to help transition that care to us so that it's easier for them when they're here. So reaching out to us and talking about that is great. A little bit about the services that we provide. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of years because the demand for mental health services on college campuses, Creighton in particular, or including Creighton, has gone up so much that we were experiencing really long wait lists and students that couldn't get in. And this is kind of happening nationally all over the country. So we really worked to develop a model that's a little bit different than a traditional kind of counseling model, and what we call is a flexible care model. So really what we're looking at is we're looking at your students from a holistic perspective, not just a mental health, not just a mental wellness perspective, but all of the different things that influence their life, and trying to partner with different areas on campus to meet their whole needs and helping them find kinds of those things. We tend to focus on a more short-term, strength-based and solution-focused type model, really wanting to empower your students and help them become strong, capable, independent adults as they're kind of working their way through moving from being a child at home to an adult kind of living on their own. So I think, we offer a lot of different a lot of different kind of avenues for treatment and for care. Some students come in and see us once, some see us kind of on and off the whole time we're here. The one thing I'd say that I would recommend is if your student is really a student who needs weekly counseling and kind of thinking that we need this the entire time they're at school, start with us, but we may have to find somebody out in the community just to make sure that they're getting the consistent care that they need. So, if anybody has questions on what we can and can't do, please reach out to me directly, either before you come to campus or when you get here. I'll be around, so we can talk about that then. Talk a little bit. We provide a whole lot of kind of mental health and well-being services. We also do workshops. We try to be proactive with our education, get the kind of strategies and that out to campus without necessarily even students having to come in and see us. So please encourage them to be on the lookout for some of our workshops. We have a therapy dog that people love, Coco the counselor. Please encourage your students to follow her and yourself on Instagram. She has a whole lot of wellness advice that goes out. We do Mindful Mondays and Wellness Wednesdays and all kinds of things in between. So definitely a good place for information. We have lots of resources on our website. We do have a self-help module that is on our website as well called TAO. It's Therapy Assistance Online. All faculty, staff, and students, actually, anybody with a Creighton.edu email has access to this. And it's kind of like a Netflix style mental health education, skills training service. It's really, really helpful. There's lots of things on there. We use it in conjunction with students who come in and see us, and then some can just access anonymously on their own. We do have crisis support both during business days and after hours. During the day, we're typically able to see a student the same day. One of us is usually available at some point. We have a crisis manager that kind of heads that up, but if she's not available, I'm back up. We have several backups. So know that if your student is really struggling, with some kind of scary thoughts or, having a hard time managing their anxiety or kind of whatever they need, and they feel like they need to see somebody that day, we can get them in. And then we have an after hours crisis counselor that is available by calling just our regular clinic number. And after hours, it directs to a company that we contract with that works very closely with us. But your student will be connected to a licensed counselor, and they can talk them through a variety of different situations, even up to the point where safety is concerned. We serve as backup to that, so we are also available if needed. And then we always get a report from them. So we follow up with every student the next day to make sure that they're doing okay and see how we can help. Sometimes they want to have more services. Sometimes they just needed somebody to talk to. So we're pretty flexible with what they need. And just to finish up, please make sure you're encouraging your students to ask for help early. There is nothing more heartbreaking than when we get 3 weeks to the end of the semester and we find out that a student has been isolating in their room because they've been anxious or sad or just, feeling like they can't do it and they didn't reach out for help, because it's hard to fix it at that point. It's hard to kind of help them get out of that hole. But if they ask early, we can help them be incredibly successful and work with partners in student success and kind of all over the campus to get them what they need. So again, please check out that parent family resource guide. There's lots of great stuff in there. Our contact information is in there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you want to email me directly, it's just jenniferpeter@creighton.edu. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Peter. I think one of the things that we need to combat before our students come here is that transition is easy, and college is the best time of your life. And so if we can help normalize that, normal is a very interesting term, and sometimes we struggle. And so that's okay. That just means we're human. I think when people apologize for crying in front of me, I always say, why are you apologizing? You're simply being a human. So I think the more that we can help our kiddos understand that there will be challenges and this will be tough, but there are so many people supporting and cheering them on, I think that really can be helpful in helping them launch. And one of those very helpful people, and Creighton's very lucky to have Miss Ann DeLuca, We have an entire center directed to student and family support. So not only do we help and support and accompany our students, but you are also part of this Creighton family. And so, Anne, if you can talk to us about how we can support our families. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anne DeLuca, and I serve as director of our Office of Student and Family Support. And essentially, our goal is to help students and families problem solve. Between now and the moment your student graduates from Creighton University, we want to be there every step of the way. And so I really want to highlight 4 different ways that we offer support and open up our communication channels with parents and families. So the first one is really just at the bottom of the screen there, which is kind of a catch-all. Our jingle that we use in the office is, when you don't know what to do, call 1212. Essentially, this number is our success desk hotline. The number is 402-280-1212. And we open that up to students, parents, family members, faculty, and staff. We consider ourselves kind of that hub of a one-stop shop for all of our community. And I always like to really emphasize to families that can be big, hairy, scary problems. That can be teeny tiny, silly questions. Or that could also be something where you say, I know you're not the right office, but I don't know where to go with this. We're here to catch all of that because we just want you to really have one place that you feel confident that you can either get your question answered, or we'll get you to the right folks, probably on this call, who can help triage that. A couple things that I want to make you all aware of is our office will be putting out a monthly Bluejay family newsletter. And in that, it will include different dates, deadlines, events, paperworks, feature stories. Sometimes we'll put in there like 5 things parents and families need to know. And so you'll be getting communication in early August to activate your Bluejay family portal. Essentially, what this is a brand new tool to Creighton where families will be able to sign in and interact with deadlines, dates, news stories, all about Creighton University. So again, we ask that you all keep your eyes peeled for an email in your inbox in early August to activate your Bluejay family portal. Again, that'll be coming from our office. The other things that will be featured in the portal are invitations to more Bluejay family live panels, similar to what we're doing tonight, kind of this town hall style, where we feature campus leadership, we tackle tough topics, we tackle deadlines, registrations, we tackle how to study for finals. We also put on different webinars to foster community within our families as well. Again, those will all be hosted on our Bluejay family portal. So when you get that email in early August, make sure that you and your family members sign up so you can stay in the loop with Creighton University. The last piece that I want our families to know is that during move-in, our office will be hosting the Bluejay family tent, which will be kind of just like in the mall. You'll see us, we'll be waving and excited to see you all. And we'll be handing out welcome bags for our parents and families. So we have great swag to give out to all of you. Definitely come visit us, come pick up your swag bag, and then also we'll have campus maps. And we're also there to help answer questions that you bump into as you and your family navigate move-in. Beyond that, again, I just want to welcome you all to the academic year. And as always, if you have questions, reach out to that number 402-280-1212. Questions big or small, our staff helps triage those questions. And just at Creighton University, we really see parents and families as partners in your student success. And so we want you to trust your gut. If something feels a little off, give us a call because we're here to walk alongside you and see your student walk across the stage. So good to see y'all, and thanks for having me tonight.
Thanks, Anne. One of the questions from our families was, how do they track their students' progress, right? So we've had a structured system through high school, and they've been able to see midterm grades and all of those things, and assignments completed or not, and all those learning management portals. What does that look like at Creighton?
Sure, that's a good question. At Creighton University, students will have the opportunity to authorize a parent or family member to view their financial, behavioral, and academic information. And so I will drop in the chat, if I can find the form, what that authorization form looks like. And so it really is a discussion between your student and you to talk through what type of authorization you'd like to have in their account.
Wonderful. I know that with FERPA, again, we'll need to authorize conversations not only on the behavioral, so when our students make not the best choices, our academic progress, and then financial as well. And so your student can negotiate all of those. Those are good questions to have with your student this summer of how much access will they be sharing with you or not. And then Adam, we had a question about how do you loft or unloft a bed? How can you play Tetris in that room? And what does that look like?
Yeah, well, the good news is if you want your bed lofted, you don't have to do anything. It will start in that position. Through our experience and through surveys with students, that is far and away the most preferred layout. So we just default all the rooms to the lofted position. If that is not what your student wants, or if there's concerns about the height of the bed, we can come and lower it. We have staff who will be available to do so. We may be able to even get to it during opening weekend, depending on the number of requests, but we'll get to it very quickly. Well, we would just ask, where would you want to move the furniture if there's pieces underneath there? For most of our rooms, everything's modular, so you can find another arrangement if you'd like, and then we can lower the bed. We install bed rails for all of those beds as a matter of course. So we would definitely recommend that you keep the rail up if the bed is lofted. You don't want to. I've never fallen out of a bed, but I wouldn't want my first time to be up at that height. So we provide those so that everyone has a chance to be safe up there. And I do see a question about the mattresses. They are twin XL mattresses.
Excellent. And I know that sometimes people, that started when I was advising Welcome Week, the infamous pool noodle. I can name the student to this day whose mom suggested this. They used to be on parent council. She was a taller individual and she kept bumping her head. And so they came up with this concept of slicing a pool noodle halfway through and then kind of sticking it up to the underside of the bed so that they would not bump their head as they were accessing their desk or their dresser underneath their bed. So pool noodles are not required, but if you have a taller student, you may want to bring those with as well. It's that time of year when all the summer stuff is on sale at Target and Walmart. So it's probably cheaper to pick up a pool noodle now or buy in bulk. You only need 1 or 2 per room, friends, though, but please be mindful of that. Sometimes the U-Hauls will pull up with like a dozen pool noodles. Just too much. One of the questions that a family asked was, I heard something about medical power of attorney. What does that mean? So one of our fun facts is that Nebraska and I believe Alabama are the 2 states where the age of majority is 19. And so if you would like to have your student be able to make some of those medical decisions, you can work with our student health education and compliance area during move-in to sign a power of attorney. It'll need to be notarized, so we'll need to work with you to get that. So again, it's basically working with our partners on campus. It's not through the state of Nebraska to basically have that power of attorney kind of transferred. It'll need to be notarized, but that can all be done during that move-in process, connecting with our student health education and compliance area.
Michelle, can I add to that? There's actually an amendment or whatever it might be called to the law in Nebraska for mental health care. So here, while the age of majority is 19, 18-year-olds can consent for their own mental health treatment, both counseling and psychiatry. So they would not necessarily need that power of attorney to seek that care. However, 17-year-olds, if you've got a young freshman coming, they will need that for mental health care. Thank you.
Great clarifying questions or clarifying points. I appreciate that. There is also a question about individual health policies. So one of our requirements at as a university is that we require all of our students to be covered by comprehensive nationwide health insurance. And so we do have requirements, and that is posted because we know our students travel. We know that we don't want them to be hit by kind of a catastrophic incident that would derail their academic progress, right? You're making an investment into your student. And so if you do not have that health insurance as a family, we do provide, we do have plans through United Healthcare that a student can purchase into and would be billed through our student accounts. And so just know that all of our students will be automatically enrolled unless you decline coverage. And so there is an online portal, and I'll drop in the chat, where you can upload your insurance information. That'll be reviewed with our third-party vendor to see that it meets all the requirements. There are so many insurance plans out there in the world, and they all look similar and cards look similar, but we just want to make sure that it's nationwide, no maximums, covers mental health care, and it follows some guidelines by the government. And so I'll pop that in the chat of where you can upload some of those documents. And then as far as, we do have a question about where do students get family medicine or specialist care? I can answer that as well. We have lots of great resources available to us. We have a student care clinic that is located adjacent to campus. So at 24th and Cumming Street, if you're familiar with the adjacent McDonald's, it is located right there. At CHI, they have an emergency department, which our students do need, they can use, but on the opposite side of the building, that's where we want our students to go, in the north side of the building, because it's much cheaper to go to family medicine in our student care clinic, or an urgent care, a priority care clinic on the north side of the building. And so those are available all days of the week with pretty extended hours till 8 p.m. And then we also have a pharmacy in that building as well. And so students can transfer their prescriptions to the Creighton Pharmacy. And we've worked out a delivery process where they can be delivered right into our Kiewit Fitness Center. And so our students they walk on campus to get their regular prescriptions filled because those will be delivered to on campus. So know that if you need specialty care, sometimes our students have chronic health conditions. We have lots of care coordination that happens in student health education and compliance. Missy Lindauer would be one of those individuals that can help you get connected to specialists as well. Or maybe your student is a real avid intramural player, tears their ACL while playing. We will make sure that we follow up and kind of help coach to local specialty areas as well. So for those things that are unexpected, and then again, for incidents that are needed as well, we can help with that. And then maybe Adam or Paul, if you can answer, how do our students know how to get mail? Where do they get mail? Grandma wants to send some care packages day one. How do I get those cookies to my student? Can you talk to us about the mail process?
I am trying to pull up the email that your students will have received that includes the mail information. All of our on-campus students receive their mail in the mail center that's in Swanson, and they would have received in one of the emails from housing, I think the one with their housing assignment, it says the mail services will be providing in the coming weeks their actual address. At this point, nothing can be shipped to campus. It's a little early for them to be able to receive those packages. So as soon as they'll receive it to their Creighton email, an email from mail services with information about receiving, sending, how the mail center works, and what their campus address will be.
Wonderful, thanks, Adam. One last question, and then we will wrap up and be respectful of time. Do we need curtains for showers? Are there doors to closets? What do we need to bring in advance?
No, we provide fresh shower curtains at the start of every year. So no need to bring shower curtains unless you just really need a pop of color or design. Ours are a little bit boring, but we provide them. The doors to the closets, it depends on the residence hall. In Swanson, for example, many of the rooms have a door to a closet, but in Graves, there's no door. So it kind of depends on the residence hall that you're in.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We appreciate your engagement and asking questions about a variety of different resources. My thanks to the panelists for sharing their time on this evening with us. We want you all to know, as family members, again, you are joining this Creighton Bluejay community as well, and so we stand ready to assist you, to cheer on and welcome your students as they come to us in August in just a few short weeks, and then when they cross that stage, when they graduate as well. And so we will walk with you and your students on this journey. And so we very much appreciate your time. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out and ask us questions. And just a reminder, we have been recording this webinar, and so you can probably watch this again or share with your family friends out there for more information, except you won't be able to hear my intro, but unless you crank up those speakers. Again, apologize for the technical delays. We wish you the best for the remainder of the summer, and we'll see you in August. Go Jays.